series of attacks targeting radar sites operated by Yemen's Houthi rebels.
This follows an incident where a merchant sailor went missing and his vessel caught fire due to the latest Houthi strike on shipping.
Seeking a resolution to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine was the focus as dozens of world leaders gathered for the first day of a major conference in Switzerland on Saturday.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is using the peace conference to garner support.
Catherine, Princess of Wales, made her first public appearance since being diagnosed with cancer, attending Trooping the Colour, a military parade marking Britain's King Charles III's official birthday on Saturday.
Kate, dressed in a white dress and hat, rode in a carriage with her 3 children.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee, and hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah. All right, come on. No, buddy. Bing, 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 boom, boom. You know. Oh, they're done? Okay. Good morning, folks. It is Monday, June 17th, 2024. Beautiful, not really. It's kind of a little bit overcast and drizzly here, but it's supposed to be a beautiful day. And here's the thing, we're supposed to get it. The West Coast heat wave is finally going to get here as summer begins this week. I think Thursday is the first day of summer, but not the first full day. Friday is the first full day of summer. But just in time for that, we're going to be scorched here on the East Coast, but I'm down for it because I love the heat. I love a dry heat. I love a wet heat. I love a moist heat. I love the heat. I'm a hot guy. Anyway, so that's what we're expecting. I hope it's a beautiful day wherever you are. I want to start by sending out a big fuck you to Captain Kirk. I know it's going to piss some people off because he's got some devoted fans out there, including some of the people who are on this show regularly. And let's be fair, I have done some complimentary pieces on Captain Kirk, Jerk, whatever his name is. William Shatner, Shat the Bed. But he's a dick. He's always been a dick, by the way. But that doesn't mean that doesn't make him a bad guy. Listen, I've confessed that I've been a dick quite a bit in my life. So Captain Kirk, just because you're a dick doesn't mean you're a bad guy. At 95 or whatever the fuck you are, there is still room for improvement, of course. And listen, I don't like to pick on old people. I'm an old person myself, just barely, according to I don't know, cultural norms. I'm right on the. I'm almost a senior citizen. 2 months from now, I will become a senior citizen. So I'm in your ballpark here. So it's not my thing to pick on old people. But here's the thing. Captain Kirk, Captain Jerk, Captain Quark. He's got a lot of followers, and he abuses his influence in some way. What do I mean? Well, he picked a fight. Not picked a fight. He started his trolls, his legion of trolls attacking me because I'm backing up a little bit. Elon Musk last week decided that because people were pointing out that he liked Nazi posts and he liked racist posts and he liked homophobic posts, and they were doing that quite a bit to Elon Musk, that he decided to make all likes hidden on Twitter. And Shatner supports this idea because it's an invasion of privacy in a public forum. So he was arguing with somebody about this point, and the person brought up, what if you had somebody in your police department or who worked for the police department liking, white supremacist posts or whatever? Wouldn't you want to know about that? Wouldn't you want to know before they, go charging people with crimes that they have some kind of bias and prejudice? And Shatner's reply was, what an extreme idea that is. And they always go to this extremist, concept. He said, can anybody point out one instance where something like that has happened? And yeah, I had one on top of my head to think about it right here. Right here. And so I brought it up. I said, my local police department, the police chief, was liking S&M posts. Turns out that police chief was a real kinkster and involved with all sorts of devious type of things, including the Gilgo murders, which now has a suspect arrested, and he's linked to that guy. But he was jailed. Him and the DA were charged with obstructing the FBI's investigation into the Gilgo murders. It turns out he had all these victims' names in his little black book. He also almost beat his informant, his own personal informant, nearly to death, which is what he went to jail for, because the guy not only found his gym bag full of goodies and sex toys, but his little black book, but also pointed out the likes of the S&M clubs and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I had an example of that. And I was said to Shatner, and you were saying, that it never happened. And he immediately changed the subject and said, anybody who thinks that somebody's sexual proclivities, liking stuff, is indication of criminal behavior, is unintelligent, meaning me. And then all of a sudden, I had to deal with his army of retards attacking me. Because how dare I point out an example that Captain Kirk actually asked for? Can you give me one example? Yeah, I got one right on the top of my head. See, there it is. So, fuck you, Captain Kirk. A big fuck you to Captain Kirk. And listen, this idea about privacy, an invasion of privacy, that ends in a public forum. And there are, numerous validations of that in the court systems. You have no right to privacy in a public forum. And let's be clear, Musk did this not to protect your privacy, but to protect his. He bought Twitter to put his finger on the scales or his thumb on the scales for the next election. And what he likes and doesn't like is very relevant to the agenda he's putting forth on his platform. So, don't be fooled by that. This is not about, and I want everybody, to know what I like and what I don't like on social media. It saves a lot of time. If you see that I like, let's say, so AOC's last comment, you might think, well, this guy is a left-leaning person, but you might want to, if you're a right-wing person, you might want to say, or today's right-wing person, you might want to say, I want to avoid that guy. There's no reason I should engage with him. We're just going to end up in fights. So I want people to see what I like. So I think that's an important feature of social media. And people who will argue against that and say, well, there's no difference between that and the government spying, NSA spying on your phone calls and that kind of stuff. No, there's a big difference between that. You're going into a public forum, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff is going into a public forum. Anyway, so just shout out to Shatner. Go shit the bed somewhere else. Or shat the bed. Anyway, we have a decent show for you today. Comedians. We have Rhonda Hansel, who is very funny. I have actually seen her perform at Governor's. It's very rare that we get a comedian who I have actually seen before they've been on the show. I've seen them live. I've seen plenty of videos of people that we've had on shows and specials and stuff like that. But it's very rare that I have actually seen one live. And then in the second hour, we got Joel Davis, the real deal, who has a big show coming up that we want to talk about. So it's a good show today. Right now in the back, we got GD and Steven waiting. Listen, I'm gonna I hate to do this, but I'm gonna talk down a little bit to Stephen, old man to young man, give him some advice, and I hope he can either take this in the vein of, "Oh, you're a hater, I'm gonna tell my wife and run to do," or you could say, "Well, that mind dog gave me some real good advice and groundbreaking advice, and really cares about my career and my approach to my career." So that kind of just bracing us for that. But in the meantime, if you're anxious about it or you're depressed about what I just said, you could trip out with Mind Bloom. Check it out.
Mind Bloom is helping people achieve life-changing clinical and personal breakthroughs, alchemizing both the psychedelic medication, psychiatric care from psychiatric clinicians, coaches, we call psychedelic guides, and a lot of content and meditations and programs into this really transformational experience that, because it's delivered at home, costs a lot less and is a lot more convenient for people to receive.
Am I too much on that, the hater stuff? Oh, GD, the bad lighting GD is oh, wow. Now I'm going to adjust my I'm all self-conscious about, he's a hater. He talks about my weight. I'm sorry. I'm just stuck on that. I like my hater voice. Good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Ron
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Juneteenth is just a runaway slave away. Get that special Negro in your life, something young, gifted, and black from the Mind Dog TV gift shop. Enjoy the suffering.
Now, I have a Trumper friend who said that because your presence on here, this show's becoming too black for him. I thought that would be your reaction.
First of all, you have a Trumper friend?
I knew it.
Oh, I have so many. I mean,
you said a Trumper friend. I thought all of your friends were Trumper friends.
Oh yeah. No, not all of them. Lots of them, though. Too many. Way too many. And it's like people see me and they automatically want to have a political debate. Like before they even say hello, they want to get on the case why why Biden is just too old and he's ruined America. And you know what? I try to tell him, listen, I don't love Joe Biden in any way, and I've never been a Democrat. I'm a registered independent. But if you look at what the choices we have, and it's always been the lesser of two evils, now it's the lesser of three evils. There is no comparison here where we're going with this. And I am definitely fearful for the outcome of this election. I don't know what to believe and what not to believe as far as polls and stuff, but I think there's a decent chance we will have a criminal, an openly convicted criminal who wants to use Congress to overturn his own conviction somehow. I think that might be in the cards for us. And if so, I don't know what I could do about it. I mean,
yeah.
Well, one thing you are doing is expressing your angst publicly. And so people who share that angst can also at least admit that they feel it. Number two, fuck the polls, vote. Okay, It doesn't matter what the polls say, just vote. All right, it doesn't matter if the polls say your
Those
guy's
Polish
100
people, they
points
don't really
ahead.
know about America anyway.
And so fuck the Poles, fuck the Czechs, fuck the Serbs, all of them. Just vote.
Whoa, what did the Serbs do?
They're Poles in skirts. I don't know. I wasn't even on that track. I got diverted onto that track. I was on the vote track. Okay,
Right.
That's my point. My point is, I don't care.
No,
I don't
was
care.
trying to relate to you in the kind of humor that you always throw at me. So we're
I don't have any humor. You keep telling me I have no humor.
Well, no, you do. You do. But you like to wordplay a lot, and polls can mean it's just like deer and deer can mean two different things.
How does deer and deer mean two different things? I've never even heard that even being that's ridiculous.
Animal and then like my deer wife.
To me, is that your deer feeding your deer?
What?
I reported
I
that.
don't remember ever saying that. I don't remember ever saying that.
Well, you didn't say it. You wrote it.
Oops.
But I did report it to Barry Katz, and you will be going to comedy prison, and you'll be suffering the big nose.
I'm already in Katz purgatory. So now you're sending me to Katz hell.
All right. Before we bring our first guest in, who actually we owe GD for bringing this guest on. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But I want to soften the blow on Steven because he's probably a little nervous. What's he gonna do? Yeah, he's a hater.
Unlike some people, I welcome critiques and criticism and advice.
Critique and criticism. That's what I want to say to you. First of all, I looked at the video that you sent, and we can talk about this later after the guests are often doing whatever they do. But I looked at your video. First of all, the audio is bad, but it can be saved. The audio is bad, but it can be saved, and I can do that for you. It's on one channel, and it's very bassy. So I can EQ it and split it into stereo, so we can save the audio on that. We talk about responsibility of clubs and their responsibility in understanding their promotion of stuff. And it's easy. The critique I'm going to be is not on you, it's on the club, but you have some power and responsibility in advance to say, what's the setup like? What's the lighting like? What's the stage going to look like? Is there going to be light on my face? Understanding that you are a guy in a chair and you're down here and the lighting is set for people standing up, that you're going to be in the dark. And comedy depends a lot on facial expressions, generally, even, movement and stuff like that. So it's really important for people to be able to see your face. If your body is lit up and your face is in the dark, people are losing half the chance to appreciate your comedy, or some percentage. I don't know, half. But so we can talk about that and what you can do in advance to make sure that when you get to a place, you know what the layout is going to look like. It's going to look professional. Just a ugly backdrop that's poorly lit in a club is not a place that you want to be videotaped in. So
with that video in particular, I was a guest on it was supposed to be an album recording, and the whole album got scrapped because of the audio. The guy can't figure it out, but
I can fix it for him for a fee. You can tell him that.
I will definitely tell him. But when I showed up, it was a VFW. And they were bringing in their own PA system and using just the lights in the building. So not a lot of control there anyway.
But in advance, you can say that. And know that you have the ability to say, listen, if you're not going to do this professionally, I can't waste my time on it. But we'll talk about that later.
For sure.
All right. Rhonda Handsome is with us. She's a comedian, actor, writer, director, person of many talents. And as I mentioned, a friend of GD's on PolitiFact, Politico, something, politicized. What is it called?
Politipod.
All right, I was close. It has a poly in it. Anyway, she's here now. Welcome in Rhonda Handsome to Coffee with Doug. Rhonda, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, gentlemen. Yes,
good morning.
I know GD as being one of the most prolific contributors to the podcast Politipod on SoundCloud, and I am just sorry that I won't be working with him on that anymore, but I am delighted to see you, GD, and your cohorts here. This is a great way for me to start the morning. How are you, gentlemen?
We are
so good. I'm so good.
We're mentally ill.
We are definitely mentally ill, but so good still.
Oh, well, that's great, gentlemen.
Well, we won't hold
I
your
use that
friendship
term
with
loosely.
GD against you.
Yes, yes.
Now, you have something coming up this Thursday, right? A show this Thursday that.
Yes, I do. It's Laughs Likely, and I'm very excited about it because it's at the Grizzly Pear in Midtown on 54th Street. And I am hosting this Black Women in Comedy Laugh Festival show. We're having shows all this weekend. We open up on Thursday. We open the festival on Wednesday at Lincoln Center, and my show is Thursday, June 20th at the Grizzly Pear. And we have women coming in from all over the nation, coming in to participate in this Laugh Fest.
Now? Black women in comedy. Audience members for that. The audience that is coming. Would you see a lot of men coming in there?
I would see a lot of men. I would see a lot of women. I would see a lot of people who are transitioning in between being men and women. And there may be even a few animals in the audience.
All right, that's cool.
Oh yeah, let's go.
I'm an old guy, but and as I mentioned, I got a lot of Trumper friends. But I still hear from just about everybody. I don't think women are funny. Men my age, and they will not. You can't make them go to see a woman doing stand-up comedy, even at gunpoint.
You can. You actually can. Yeah.
You can?
Sex has to be on the line.
Oh.
Yeah, if they're on a date and they think they're going to get laid, and the woman says, "I would love to put out, but I want to go to a comedy show." They will not only be at the comedy show, they will laugh harder than anybody else in that place because they're like, okay, and it's just the whole time. So,
if it's a date,
and then they're really upset.
If it's a date with GD, the only thing they're going to do hard is laugh.
But it's I'm surprised that there will be a lot of men. Now the animals, that would be interesting because
I would not be surprised. We enjoy all audiences, and we're very excited this year because we have Uncle Nearest Whiskey sponsoring us, and the Grizzly Pear in Midtown is our headquarters, and it's very exciting to be opening the entire festival at the Cultural Center in New York, Lincoln Center. So people are going to be laughing, whether they're men or women. And I find that men who think that women aren't funny are men who, in fact, aren't sexy at all.
Well, here's the thing, because I think most men are they are intimidated by a woman who's funny, because if she's funny, that means she's intelligent, and most men want to feel like they are superior some way in the relationship in that way, and a smart woman is threatening.
Well, I think men should feel superior to women in some areas, but to be intimidated by a smart, beautiful, funny woman doesn't sound like the man is too bright to begin with.
Right. Yeah. No.
I
would agree.
She said it, guys. She said it. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
All right. Oh, now?
No, not right now. Later.
All right. No, but we do see a lot of. I hear it all the time. But the thing is, once you get them to, if you can get them, I don't promise sex, by the way, but I have gotten a few guys to actually go to women's comedy shows, and they enjoy it, and then they don't change their mind on a global scale, but say, yeah, she was really funny. That one was really funny.
Well, what is the idea behind having an all-male comedy show? What's the concept behind that?
I don't think that's. I've never seen that advertised, though. I've never seen it. It happens.
Not advertised. It's just done. That has
it's implied. Yeah.
Original booking. all males. They don't have
It's
to
like
say
we don't need a straight white man Pride Month.
Yeah, so I don't understand the whole concept of having to twist someone's arm to go see someone who is really
again. I am talking about old white dudes who are in my world anyway.
Michael, you are unequivocally wrong in your statement. I'm going to tell you that right now, because you've been watching the show for how long, and you've been watching GD. You know that's not true.
Right. Now I mentioned I saw you at Governor's. I believe it was I don't know. It could have been 2 years ago. But at Governor's on Long Island, Levittown. Do you get out there a lot? Do you come out to
Not as often as I would like. When I first started out, people actually thought I was a Long Island comic because Jackie the Joke Man Martling gave me my first gig out there at Governor's back in the previous century. And I performed at all of the clubs and also did MC male strip shows at places like Escapes and really got to all of the clubs on Long Island. I would love to be back out there, and I was very happy to be at Governor's when you saw me, and I had a great time being the headliner there, and it was wonderful. I love working on the island. The audiences really appreciate the comedy, and we had a sold out show. Actually, we were actually sold out.
Yeah.
I just have a question real quick, because I did not realize I've known Rhonda for like 40 years now, and I did not realize that she used to MC men's strip shows in Long Island. Now, did you ever befriend any of the strippers? I'm not asking about sex. I'm just talking about friendships. I don't care about what happened beneath the waist. I'm talking about above the waist.
$5 I stuck in your shorts back.
It was professional all the time, no matter how few articles of clothing the men had on. It was always professional.
But you didn't ever befriend one. I mean, I'm not talking about dating and schlepping with. I'm talking about just like, this guy's got something going on up here. We can talk and hang out.
I never befriended them like that. And I never felt that way like I do about the people who are writers on Politipod and people who I work with in stand-up comedy. I respect the intelligence that many people's comedy manifests. And when I hear that, I can't help but, want to, stay in touch and see if there can be a professional relationship, exchange jokes, maybe put each other on shows. So for the male strippers, I was there just for the eye candy and to MC.
I didn't realize that we had met before. I was one of the main strippers at Escapes. I went by the name Billy Dean.
You're kidding me.
I'm lying. No, I'm lying.
You're lying.
I am lying. I'm lying.
That's the show I used to MC, Billy Dean's Male Review. Yeah.
Right. Madonna got her start at that club.
It's funny because one of the waiters had said to me, "There's a new singer coming out here, and you should come and see her." And the thing was, I could not envision myself driving in from Manhattan all the way to Long Island to see some unknown singer, and it turned out that it was Madonna who was coming in there. Yeah.
Very cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, one other thing that most people don't know this, okay, and you wouldn't know this unless you talk to Rhonda in depth. But one of her, was it your first manager or your first agent? To get him, she actually encouraged Freddie Prinze to kill himself so that she could have his agent. She's the one. Yes, she did. She pushed him over the edge so she could get it. You tell that story, Rhonda.
That's the rumor. That's the rumor, GD. And thank you for keeping that rumor going.
Did he start it?
Yes, he did,
actually. He did. Dave Jonas actually was my manager for quite some time, and he had been Freddie Prince's manager at the time of his death. And I thought, oh, that's who I want representing me, some guy whose latest client just offed himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dave Jonas connected me with touring with major music acts like the Pointer Sisters, Anita Baker, Diana Ross, and I worked all over the Catskills via Dave Jonas, that manager, and all the time in Las Vegas and Atlantic City. Yeah.
Very cool.
So that was one jet that really paid off. See?
We have a quiz moment here for Steven. Steven, you know Freddie Prinze? You know about Freddie Prinze? You know who he was? You know his legacy?
I know Freddie Prinze Jr.
All right. Well, that's enough, I guess. No,
that's more my generation.
Freddie Prinze died very young, as Rhonda kind of suggested there. He by his own hand, but he was, I think, 22 or 23. But a really impressive young man in the fact that he was on the Tonight Show twice in a week span. Johnny Carson loved him so much at 19 years old.
Holy shit.
19 years old. So
it was literally like a meteor, and unfortunately ended as quickly. Yeah.
Right.
He died in his own hand, but her encouragement. It was a beautiful, smart business move.
GD, I do what I can do. Yeah.
You know who I think was present that night? Dynamite. Well, Jimmy Walker was one of his closest friends and was the one who discovered the body. And he said instead of dynamite, he was shotgun.
Wow.
I know. That's terrible. Well, I'm already going.
That was a mind-blowing joke, man. That was mind-blowing.
Are you still friends with Jackie Martling? Do you still?
I recently did his podcast with also a long time associate Peter Bales. I haven't worked with him, but I say I would love to be doing shows with all of the veterans that I know from back in the day and all the new comics who are coming around, which is why I like the fact that I'm hosting at the Grizzly Pear this Thursday, because I get a chance to see new comedians, and there is nothing as exciting for me as seeing someone whose material is different, someone who I have never seen before, and someone who is really bringing an interesting quirk or twist to their material. And I adore comedy, and I want to work with the veterans. I want to work with the new people, and I want to keep myself in this century with the laughter.
Yeah. It's changing though. A lot of people look at change as a bad thing. I think change is inevitable, and we have to kind of understand where it's going and appreciate the changes in comedy. But right now is kind of. It's an interesting time in comedy because you have these people who still cry about cancel culture. I think I think it's kind of manufactured, the idea of being canceled, because nobody really gets canceled. They just get more publicity when they say outrageous things. But I think you just have to be responsible for what you say. And listen, if you're bringing hate, there's nothing funny about hate, and people should point that out. That if you because people, I think like Howard Stern and those people brought in shock mentality to comedy, which is beyond, with not really being thoughtful about it. So you can point out cultural stuff all you want if there's some truth in it and it stays humorous. If you're just doing it to be angry and shocking, then it's not funny. And I think people have a right to say, well, that wasn't funny, that was just hurtful, and there's nothing funny.
It may not be funny, but it turns out to be lucrative for many people who employ that shock strategy. And Howard Stern, I think, really elevated the shock jock genre and he has been incredibly successful. In fact, they built Sirius XM around him,
Right.
you know, because he had such a huge following and a large fan base. Which I was part of. I listened to him through, I think, 2 or 3 different time changes, and actually, I was listening to him when 9/11 happened, and he said that there was a plane in the World Trade Center, and he goes, "I'm not kidding." And I lived right down there, and I went downstairs to see, and then I felt the heat from the second plane.
Wow.
So you're right. Shock can sometimes not be funny, but I think Howard was so interesting and had such a unique presentation that he elevated the genre.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. The problem when you go down that line though is like where you're always looking for something more shocking. You always have to up the game a little bit, and that can be a challenge. And then too shocking, too.
I mean, how many times can you throw baloney at a playmate's behind? You know,
Four.
4? Is it 4?
It's 4.
I was guessing 6, but that makes sense too.
No, it's 4, but then you got to swap, and then after that you have to switch to brown swagger, and then you have to switch to salami.
I think it depends on how thick you slice your bologna.
Yes,
I think that's the big thing is the slice.
I have a feeling you really slice a really thick piece of bologna.
If you don't slice it at all and you just throw the whole log at her, chances are you only one.
That was my nickname in high school.
What, one bologna? A log? What?
Bologna log.
Oh.
I was fat.
Yeah. You're full of it. So are you still traveling, or you basically stay in the New York area?
Well, actually, I'll be traveling to go to North Carolina soon to the National Black Theater Festival, because I'm also a director, and I actually started in theater. And if you know someone who wants to book a really funny, seasoned comedian, and they're going to pay for my travel and my hotel, tell them to call me. I don't mind traveling. I love going to new places, and actually at the National Black Theater Festival, I was part of a group called Funny Colored Women. And when we were there, all of our shows were sold out. We had 4 standing room only shows. And I'm going back this year in my position as an actress and a director to connect with my comrades in theater. But I love to travel for comedy, and I'm urging you gentlemen who I know are so well connected in the business to let someone know that I'm a high caliber performer, and they should call me.
All right.
Now, I have a question. Now the show that you're doing in New York is called was it Black?
It's
well,
called
not
Laugh
the show.
Slightly. Laugh Slightly.
Yes, I'll say it's not the show, but the festival is the Black Women Comedy Laugh Fest.
It's
but
the
in North
Black
Carolina
Women Comedy Laugh Fest here in New York City, and the Grizzly Pear is our headquarters, and our opening ceremonies are at Lincoln Center. Joanna Briley is the founder of this festival, and she works tirelessly. She is a tremendous person, a funny woman, and I'm glad to be associated with her all of these years through the festivals that she's been doing. And I think this is the 5th year now.
Wow.
Now, but the one you did in North Carolina was colored women.
Funny women, yeah.
So my question is are they colored because it's in the South, and up in North it's Black women? So is that what it is, were all of them?
It was just that the creator, Marian Alda, a great actress known from the soap operas, who created the group, wanted to make sure we had a moniker that wasn't already trademarked. That's all.
Oh, okay. And were you all the same color, or is it that were different shades?
It was a wonderful variety of hues that we had there.
Like a Crayola box.
Oh yeah, so you had like all the way from vanilla and all the way up to ebony.
Yes, dark chocolate. Yeah. Yes, from all the way to dark chocolate.
Vanilla is not a color; it's a flavor.
White chocolate, then. White chocolate.
All right. Yeah, that's better.
And actually, you can call anything a color. Doesn't even if it's a flavor, you can call it a color. Ask Crayola. Ask Sherman.
Or Gatorade.
Guitar a color? Is bowling?
Yeah, guitar is a color. Guitar is a color. It's blue. It's a shade of blue.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. That looks
you may be right. Maybe crazy. You may be right.
Maybe crazy. You know what? I just as you were talking there, I was thinking, you know what? You should probably get in touch with Abby at Sticks and Stones. She does a lot of women in comedy shows out there. It's in the Hamptons. It's relatively new, but it's from the Hamptons Comedy Festival. I will put you in touch with her.
I would appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really like that.
Now, is the Hampton Comedy Festival the one that lasts for 6 months? They just move venues?
No, that's the Long Island Festival.
That's the Long Island Festival.
You can't, in my view, have a festival that's spread out over 100 miles long and 30 miles wide in different venues. That's not a festival. A festival should be in one place where people can walk from.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
What? I'm surprised that you said that because I'm surprised you didn't say or wheel.
Well, exactly that, because the festival I was in this year was the most inaccessible. The after party was in a literal basement.
Wow.
I was like, y'all knew I was coming to this, right?
Well, getting you into the basement isn't hard. It's getting you out of the basement that's hard.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's true. I could just fall down the steps. That's no problem. I'm well equipped for that. It's the trip up that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would think that since most of your time, your mind is spent in the gutter, I would think the basement is actually a step up for you.
Oh, that's
well, most gutters are hanging on the steel. Most gutters are hanging on the roof, though.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking more of like a sidewalk gutter, but no.
Oh, you're trying to put me in the ghetto. I see what you're doing.
Whoa.
Putting you in the alley, the bowling alley.
The bowling alley. Oh man, I ain't got a leg to stand on.
Were you in the movie Pretty Woman?
Yes, I was.
It's not forgive me, it's been a long time. I don't think I've really seen it in 30 years at least. What part did you play in that?
Bermuda. When the credits come up, you will see my name as the character I played, Bermuda, by Rhonda Handsome. Yes.
Very cool. That's a pretty cool thing to have on your resume. I mean, I was in a movie, that Car Wash, but I didn't have a speaking part. I wasn't even credited in it. It's not on my IMDb page, but that's a very cool thing to have.
Yeah, I played a prostitute right in the beginning of the movie, and then also in Trading Places, I played a prostitute. When I was working on the stage early on in my career, I would always play the maid in those screwball comedies, and I actually didn't mind always being typecast as either a maid or a hooker, because I always said the same thing. I'm coming.
Well, oddly enough, when I was in Car Wash as just somebody who was shot on the street, I didn't play a hooker, but I was actually hooking up when they saw me. So I was, soliciting, as they say.
At the Car Wash.
Well, I was in the background of a news broadcast once.
Did you say hi, Mom?
Were you also a Muppet? I think I read that you were a Muppet on Saturday Night Live.
Yes, I was. I did the voice and manipulation of the puppet Vaj on the first show of Saturday Night Live. Yes.
Wow, that Carlin posted that, right?
Yes, I was there and was very happy to be on the set with Garrett Morris.
Wow, you know what? It's kind of like Zelig or something. You were there for all these important moments in show business history. Very cool.
Yeah, like when I opened for Tony Orlando. Yeah.
My lead singer gets confused with Tony Orlando a lot. People think he looks like Tony Orlando, and we do some Tony Orlando covers. And unfortunately, I get to play.
Do you get mistaken for Dawn?
I get to be Dawn, yeah.
Tony Orlando is really a very nice guy. I remember opening for him at Westbury, a place I really love and want to go back to because it's in the round, and that is so much fun. But I had made the mistake of picking up my new car that day and driving in from New York City all the way out to Long Island and got caught in traffic. And I was late getting to the venue, which I never am. I am never late. And they didn't want me to go on. And Tony insisted, not only did he insist, but he went on ahead of me to introduce me to the audience and gave me such a wonderful introduction. I will always remember him for being that considerate of my flight at the moment.
Super cool. I did not know that about him, that he's a good guy. Because, I went on a little bit rant about William Shatner this morning because he's got a lot of fans, but people just think when celebrities, people are of celebrities, that they are good people, but some of them are real douchebags.
Well, yeah, they're human beings, and there's a possibility of being some bags in the group. Yes.
Yeah. Now let's talk about your writing and directing stuff. Now, are you still actively writing for?
Yes, I am. I write all the time for Politipod, which is available on SoundCloud, that podcast. But I also write political cartoons with a great illustrator, Scott Williams, and I want your audience to stay in touch with me because there's going to be a way for them to enjoy my Politunatics cartoons in their own home. I'm going to be getting something out very soon around the cartoons that I write, which are called Politunatics. We tackle hot topics, mostly political topics. And when I go to North Carolina, I'm hoping that a play that I wrote will be part of a reading series in that theater festival. So I try to keep writing. I don't write as much as GD, who I think writes in his sleep as well during his open eye hours. But I try to keep the writing flowing.
He can't read.
Not everybody is as defective as I am.
Yeah.
And
Dylan Brody is just as defective as I am. He is also.
You won't get an argument from me on that, GT. I am
constantly writing.
I am in complete agreement.
And the worst thing is that not only is he more prolific than I am, but he's way more knowledgeable and probably more talented as well.
Just about anybody, really.
Well, as far as knowledge goes, yeah, you can say that about anybody. But Dylan Brody really is knowledgeable. I mean,
he has a vast experience, and he has written for most of the late night television shows and a lot of sitcoms, and in addition to doing his own shows, and I really value going to his workshop and having his guidance and encouragement and keeping the funny going. The Active Voice Productions is his company, and I find him really helpful when I'm writing sketches and developing one-liners and bits. But GD, I'm not going to discount your proficiency and your very unique sense of humor that I always find fascinating.
What is this? What is she talking about? I don't know. It's almost as if she brought up Willie's Genius. Like what? Anyway,
Dylan I appreciate I do appreciate it, Rhonda. I thank you.
Oh,
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Blushing. You're turning red.
Quit being so bashful. He's turning red.
It's a green screen behind him again.
I knew it.
Except, and I would point out that Dylan, when he reads his own writing, acts like he's or seems like he's actually wrote it himself and knows what it's supposed to say. GD often reads his own writing as if it's in Chinese or something.
Well, he's channeling from the humor gods. So sometimes the meaning might escape him, but the funny always remains.
Right. One thing I will say about Dylan, which is it kind of shocks me, is that he's almost my age or is around my age, and he talks about his parents all the time because they're still living, and that to me that's an
He
amazing
just
thing.
had a death in the family.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear about that. I didn't know about that. But he's talked about his mother and father like he's still a teenager. Like everybody my age, their parents died years ago, and
But that is a fundamental effect on our personalities. You know, I'm doing John Fugelsang's show on Sirius XM tonight. I'm his regular guest on Monday nights, hashtag Handsome Mondays. And John also talks a lot about his parents who were both in religious orders. So his mother was a nun and his father was a Jesuit priest, and somehow they still got together and created John. So
not somehow. They're both Catholic, right? There was no stopping them.
They tripped.
But I think for some people the effect on their work from their experience with their parents is something that is very hard not to always call back to. I know I use that a lot, with my growing up. But what was really had a strong effect on me was growing up Catholic, actually, and I finally was able to let it go. But it really. It really did have a very strong effect, and that's the interesting thing about comedy, because everybody has their own quirks. Everybody has their own individual experiences that have hot wired and set into their material, and that's why I like comedy, because it is so subjective, and you may not want to talk about your parents. You may not have even had parents, but there could have been something else in your life that actually is a cause, a fountain of material for jokes, and has had a lifelong effect on you.
Yeah, that actually kind of rings true. You may not have had parents, because I'm as close to somebody who really didn't have parents as there is. My parents actually lost me at a racetrack when I was 3 years old because they were celebrating their horse winning.
Yeah. I was in a very similar boat. My parents were addicts, so they were just not
on the Catholic thing. It's funny. I credit, and I didn't think about this until just a couple of days ago, that I credit the nuns who beat me because my sneakers were squeaking on the church floor as we were doing a rehearsal for our first communion, and the nuns beat me with a stick, and that made me quit Catholicism. I credit them with saving my ass, because if not for them, I probably would have got my ass.
There are a group of them in that demographic who are very violent, who at least in my experience in the past, who had a violent streak and were frustrated, and I think they took that out on their charges, on the young people who they were teaching or supposedly guiding, and it's unfortunate. And I want to tell you, I am so sorry that you got beat up for your squeaky.
Oh no, I credit it with saving my ass, because if not for that, I would have probably stayed in Catholicism. Probably would have got raped by a priest. Now, is he Rapper saying that's a Greg Giraldo bit? Because I didn't. If it's verbatim, believe me, it's not. It's my true experience, but. I have been known to kind of borrow from other comedians or from comedians at times, but this isn't. I didn't even know. I was not aware if that's Giraldo.
I'm not sure that there isn't a person who was involved in the Catholic faith as a child that doesn't have that story verbatim. I mean, my
that's probably close to accurate.
My wife was raised in a Catholic, went to Catholic school for like the first 6 years of her life, first 6 years of schooling, and she was beaten by the nuns for her sneakers squeaking, and she didn't even have sneakers. They were too poor. They were too poor to have sneakers, and she got beaten for it.
Wow. Interestingly enough, the Pope met with, I think, like 200 comedians.
I saw that.
Friday.
Yeah, my invitation got lost in the mail.
Well, now the thing is, comedians, they're all asking, how do I get booked on the Pope show? Like, this is the thing now. I want to go.
I got an invite too, but then they said it wasn't accessible, and I was like, well, can't he heal me? And they were like, no. And I was like, well, then I can't come.
Right.
So Yeah.
At least you
And
got the
that's the
invite.
last
Well,
thing.
Well, here's the
last
thing.
thing the Pope wants to hear is you can't come.
Well, I tried to. Well, here's the thing. He said to pray because Jesus heals the lame. I still can't walk, but now I'm just really cool. So it all backfired in my face.
If Jesus heals the lame, I should have him pray for my jokes. Then I think that should do it.
He's a miracle worker, but I don't even know if he can do that, man.
Actually, I think Chris Rock got my invitation by mistake.
You guys do look alike, so it could be a mix-up.
It's the hair.
No, that was meant for Kid Rock. He's not a comedian, is he? Well,
I don't know. He said some pretty funny shit when he's complaining about gays and beer.
Right.
After he's had a few gays and beer.
Rhonda, you did something that was about menopause, right? What was that? I forgot.
I did something about what?
Menopause, about women going through menopause. A show or something. I read. Am I just making that up? Did I?
Yes. Well, you've already admitted to being a liar, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I have made that admission, but I couldn't.
And Rhonda, do not do any jokes about menopause around him because he'll steal it and you do it for himself.
Hot Flash, where she draws upon her deep comedic and acting talents to bring humor to the challenge of women.
That is a sitcom pilot, which I am delighted to have been a co-author of. Yes, Hot Flash is a sitcom pilot about three women who late in life, their fortunes, their financial situations and personal circumstances change so that they have to come together in a what is like a modern day Golden Girls situation. And yes, Hot Flash, it's great. It's very funny, and I love that I'm part of it and wrote it with two other very funny comedians. And I want your audience, and again, I thank you, gentlemen, for having me on today. I know you have a great audience. I want your audience to go to my website. They can see a trailer of Hot Flash and also check out some more information about me and stay in touch with me at RhondaHandsome.com.
Link is in the description, and it's scrolling across the bottom there for people.
Yes, and Hot Flash is the trailer for that is on there, and in addition to some other things about what I've directed and my comedy work and acting. Yeah.
Very cool. Well,
also people trying to keep in touch with Rhonda. I will be posting her phone number. I'll be putting it right here in the little in the ticker, so you can call her.
If a man answers, hang up.
Yeah. The reason I brought up the menopause thing is because my wife is getting older now, but she has never ever really experienced.
Telling her you said that.
I said getting older. Everybody's getting older. Even a baby is getting older. So
that's offensive.
But you never experienced menopause, and I think it's weird because it's she's going through some things right now, and every time like last week I thought it was cool here, and she was talking about how hot it is, and I'm just like, sooner or later it's got to start happening. These hot flashes, right? You got to go through it. There's no woman who gets to escape it.
Well,
but if I bring it up, that gets me a beating.
Some actually do escape it. In fact, I actually escaped those horrific symptoms because I don't have a uterus. Well, I do have a uterus, but it's on my shelf over here as a plant.
I got a box full of them. I just collect them. It's one of my things. Anyway, we do appreciate you being on the show. We do hope people go to RhondaHandsome.com and check out the stuff. Now, when is the political cartoon?
The political cartoons are called Politunatics, and that's on Facebook. People can go there and like the page of Politunatics. I'm there with Scott Williams, the great illustrator that I work with. And then they can also go to SoundCloud for Politipod. I actually write and anchor the real news, and that's news with a Z, for Politipod, and get our latest episode on SoundCloud.
And you also voice many characters.
Yes, yeah, I do. I love the voice acting on that podcast. And people can tune into John Fugelsang's show, Tell Me Everything. I'm with him every Monday night, #Handsome Mondays on Sirius XM.
I love John, and I follow him on Twitter, and there's nothing more pleasing to me than to see him correct the evangelicals about the biblical stuff, because he really knows the Bible inside and out, and it's just really a thrill to see him shoot down these crazy people who think that Jesus preached hate and all that kind of stuff. So I really love John. Well,
John's a bright guy and he's very funny, and I love doing his show.
John Pavaramo, he's also a frequent guest on that show.
Yes, we were actually on together about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yes, I do
Very
know
cool.
him. I know John and his hair. John has that shampoo commercial hair.
Yeah. So we have friends in common that I did not know about, but I'm glad you could make it this morning. We have to get to the news, but we do appreciate you being here, and we'll continue to support you and
Thank
hope
you.
Good things happen for you. I will
Pleasure to meet you, Rhonda.
Stephen,
I will be in touch to get you Abby's information.
Stephen, I love the way you roll, man. GD, thank you again for the invitation. Mind Dog, you are something else, and I want to be back with you whenever you have the time.
You're
really
quite welcome to come back. The door's always open for you, and I will be in touch to send you Abby's information and hook you two up, and hopefully you'll get to do some stuff out in the Hamptons. So
thank you.
And maybe next time you do Black women in comedy, you'll invite me.
Yes, it's a 2-drink minimum, GD. Yes.
No, I meant on the stage. I meant to perform. I can drink anywhere. Well, okay, I can't drink anywhere.
Do drink anywhere? Yes. Okay. Thursday, June 20th, at the Grizzly Pear is the Black Women in Comedy Laugh Fest. My show is Laughs Likely, and I thank you all for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation with you, funny men.
Have a great day. Bye for now.
You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Rhonda Hanson, folks. Fugelsang tonight on Sirius XM. Check them out. We have to get to the news. Are you guys all excited about the news? The big news?
If I was any more excited, I would leave.
I know. Here's the big newscast for today with our buddy Alan Edwards, who is on some kind of psychedelics or hallucinogens or something.
Catherine, Princess of Wales, made her first public appearance since being diagnosed with cancer, attending Trooping the Colour, a military parade marking Britain's King Charles III's official birthday on Saturday.
Kate, dressed in a white dress and hat, rode in a carriage with her 3 children at the start of the annual celebration, before watching the proceedings from a viewing point. Prince William participated in the parade on horseback. Chris Anderson reporting.
Seeking a resolution to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine was the focus as dozens of world leaders gathered for the first day of a major conference in Switzerland on Saturday.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is using the peace conference to garner support for a 10-year plan he first proposed in 2022 to end hostilities between Ukraine and Russia. Notably, Russia and China do not have representatives at the Swiss conference. Joseph Eckerson reporting.
The U.S. military launched a series of attacks targeting radar sites operated by Yemen's Houthi rebels.
This follows an incident where a merchant sailor went missing and his vessel caught fire due to the latest Houthi strike on shipping in the critical Red Sea corridor. Authorities stated these attacks mark the U.S. Navy's most intense combat since World War II, as it counters the Houthi campaign. Jim Kender reporting.
The Israel Defense Forces reported Saturday that 8 soldiers were killed in southern Gaza in the deadliest attack on Israeli forces in months.
The soldiers were killed in an explosion, the army confirmed,
Genocide.
without providing further details. The incident is likely to amplify calls for a ceasefire and increase Israeli public anger over ultra-Orthodox exemptions from military service. In January, 21 Israeli soldiers were killed in a single attack by Palestinian militants in Gaza. Benjamin Wright reporting.
I don't know.
This is the latest news headlines.
Everybody's got an English accent. I don't have an English accent. Why does everybody have an English accent?
That's because most of them are fake. They're not real people. Most of them are just
I'm going to have them
Emergency
all
crews in
show up
Oregon
at your
rescued
house.
28 people Friday after they were left hanging upside down for about half an hour on a ride at a century-old amusement park.
Portland Fire and Rescue announced on the social platform
could
X
be a
that
bat.
firefighters collaborated with
Hanging
engineers at
upside
Oaks
down
Park to manually lower the ride, though they had prepared for a high-angle ropes rescue if needed. All riders were evacuated and medically evaluated with no injuries reported. Kyle Norris reporting.
A Los Angeles County
Who picked up the
firefighter was
wallets that
killed
hit the
and
floor?
another was injured
They're
Friday
moving
while
around.
responding to a vehicle fire at a quarry in a desert community north of Los Angeles, authorities reported.
An explosion occurred shortly after the firefighting crew arrived at the quarry in Little Rock around 2:10 p.m., killing a 19-year veteran firefighter based in the nearby city of Palmdale, Louisiana. County Fire Chief Anthony Marone said. Wade Addison reporting.
The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating a Southwest Airlines passenger flight that descended within several hundred feet of the ocean off Hawaii in April.
Weather conditions on the island of Kauai caused pilots of Southwest Flight 2786 on April 11th to abort a landing attempt at Lihue Airport prior to the rapid descent towards the ocean, according to air traffic control audio reviewed by CBS News. The flight eventually returned to Honolulu, where it landed safely. Liam White reporting.
A federal judge on Friday ordered the liquidation of conspiracy theorist Alex Jones's personal assets.
The judge dismissed his company's
They're taking all my shit,
case, leaving the future of his InfoWars media platform uncertain, as he owes $1.5 billion for his false claims that the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting was a hoax. Judge Christopher Lopez approved converting Jones's proposed personal bankruptcy reorganization to a liquidation. Lawrence Keller reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
The Alex Jones thing. They decided not to liquidate InfoWars, though. So I don't know why, and I can't wrap my head around it because, my head is solid and it doesn't wrap around things. But
makes sense.
Why the judge decided on that? Because there's much more value in InfoWars as the company that promotes like bullshit vitamins and stuff than there are. I think anymore.
Maybe they thought that if they liquidate his other assets, he's not going to be able to come up with the 1.5 billion. But if they leave InfoWars in, that will generate the cash so they can get the rest of the 1.5 billion. Because otherwise, somebody would have to buy InfoWars in order to get the 1.5.
I wonder if it's something to do with the fact that it's his job, and they're like, "Well, we're not going to liquidate his job, just everything else."
You don't have to sell the company. You could sell it off in pieces. Like think of it as a corporation that sells off little assets. You can sell off the cameras. You can sell off the desk. You can sell off.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But
then you wouldn't
really
have. But then
that would
you
make a
wouldn't
dent,
do
though.
that. Yeah, it wouldn't make a dent. Yeah.
No, the server farm. No, I guarantee, because he's got an infrastructure that kind of is certainly as powerful as Dopey Rumble. By the way, Rumble.
Is it as strong as yours?
Why do you even exist, Rumble? What?
Is his infrastructure superior to your infrastructure?
Way more.
Really?
My infrastructure is impotent. I have to put in like a ton of Viagra on Cialis every morning just to get the show up.
Well, I believe that. Hey, are we on Kick?
Ticks?
What's Kick?
Kick.
Oh, Kick. Yeah, we are on Kick.
We are on Kick.
What's
Okay,
Kick?
I was just curious. Well, Kick is like Twitch. But I was just curious because I heard their ad and revenue sharing was better than Twitch's, supposedly. Their ad sharing or whatever. I was just curious.
we get no traction from either of those platforms.
I believe it.
I think basically if I get one viewer per show on Twitch, that's an anomaly. Like, wait,
if you get a viewer from Twitch, they're usually trying to sell you viewers at other places.
Yeah.
So if you're watching on Rumble right now, join the human race and follow us on YouTube. By the way, we are at 200,000 views per month on YouTube, which is very good. You know what? That means every 5 months we get 1 million people. So I'm very happy with YouTube.
Hell yeah, dude! They're coming back to see the show.
Yeah. And between Spotify and Simplecast, where the two audio streams are, about 8 million per year on there. So people are listening. It's not turning into money, but we do have an audience out there, and hopefully. And
And we appreciate you, audience. We really do.
Hopefully they, at least people will start to support some of the people who've been on the program, like Rhonda and Joel, who's absolutely missing right now. Oh no, he's got about 6 minutes. So yeah, I wanted to while we have a few minutes here, Ron's lost in Taos, right?
I heard he was at the airport.
Today? What?
I heard he was at the airport in Taos, but
I thought he was coming home tomorrow. So wouldn't he be at the airport tomorrow?
Yeah.
Unless he's got a layover.
He's not doing Mr. Tongues tonight. So are you Mr. Tongue?
No, I am Mr. York. No, actually, he'll be back tomorrow night, so I won't be. I'll be there at the York. I don't know who's doing Mr. Tongue tonight. He has 3 people that he rotates in the guest hosting department at Mr. Tongue.
All right. While we have a few minutes, I want to continue back on Steven.
Matt, you're such a hater telling me my face isn't lit right.
I know you're a very positive person, but here's the thing I need to instill in you is that the more positivity, understanding. I understand the frustration and feels like the clock is ticking. Clock is ticking for all of us. But you have to really acknowledge the fact that you've been in this game for a short time and you've accomplished a lot for the short time you've been in it. And patience is part of it. Understanding that I get your frustration. Like, man, it's hard to really get momentum and get your wheels rolling on this. But the truth is that you have done a lot, and I think you need to give yourself some credit for how far you've come and how much you've achieved in a short time. And comparing yourself to other people is not necessarily a productive thing. But understand there are people who've been in it a lot longer than you have, who can't get a gig still, have never done a paying gig. I know people who've been in 10 years who've never done one paying gig. So give yourself some credit for that and understand that, even though it sometimes feels like, boy, this is like pulling teeth trying to advance yourself, you have made some really good strides, and to kind of acknowledge how far you've come is really important in that, because I
appreciate that
all the time.
Well, I appreciate that, and thanks for the advice, man. I appreciate it.
No, definitely give yourself some credit for what you've done. Every time you start to feel like, fuck this, man. Look back and say, well, actually, a measuring stick, it has been worth it. It's just so it's frustrating. That feeling that the clock is ticking on us is a difficult thing, because we are, as I mentioned, everybody's getting older. Even a baby is getting old quick. My wife's
but the baby is getting older toward its prime, and then there's the people who are past their prime and still getting older.
I'm quickly moving away from my prime as we speak. So
I wouldn't know what that's like.
95 or 93, whatever the fuck he is, Shatner still has enough energy to fight with me on Twitter all day.
That's true.
That's because he's sitting down. He spends most of his day sitting down, so he can.
Oh, so as long as you're sitting, you have longevity. I'm
energy.
I got energy for days.
Yeah,
I just want to. The sponsors list is in the description here. I just want people to go to mybookie.com and bet on how often you think, or I'm going to mispronounce Politipakapukapus.
Politipakapulunitics. Her politics. I actually usually have to see that so I can say it. I have to say it out loud.
Yeah, Palapapusatuk. Go to Palapapusatuk.
Yeah, politics. And I think it's supposed to sound like lunatics and politics and tunes, like cartoons. Politics.
All right. See, I heard tunic and I got excited.
I got to deal with an agent right now. You guys talk amongst yourselves for a second here.
An agent? Like secret agent?
A booking agent who's got me booked at 2 places on the same day.
Okay, as long as they're not the same.
I'll take one of those gigs. I'll take one of those gigs. Just send them my way. So, GD, how have you been, man? How was your Father's Day?
It was okay. I have a boatload of stepchildren, I guess. It was funny. My stepson called me at 8:59 yesterday morning, and I was about to go in the air with the Reverend, So it's like 8:59. He calls me, and so I had to text him. As a matter of fact, what the theme song was playing while I was texting him. It's like whatever the theme song is, whatever the theme song is for the Church of Last Resort. That was playing, and I was texting my stepson going on the air now. We'll talk to you later. And then I said send, and then it's like brothers and sisters. So
well, that's good, man. As long as you had a good day.
Yeah, my wife and I spent most of the day watching television, and I usually spend the day doing my yard work, which means I'm going to do yard work today.
Yeah,
and it's 15 degrees warmer today than it was yesterday. So
yeah, it was 90. It was 93 yesterday. It's 95 today. Yesterday, we spent the whole day watching TV together while the kids played, and then at like 6 p.m., we took them to the pool for 2 hours. And that was my Father's Day.
We got to get to Joel, but I want to talk a little bit about yesterday before. So yesterday I had a Father's Day gig show.
Saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And I knew I was in trouble when I found parking, because in the town any day I've gone there, there's never parking, and there was a plethora. There was nothing but parking. I could park anywhere.
So you got like a spot. The only people who got better parking than you were people who had handicap tags.
I don't think they had better parking than me. I could.
Oh no! Sometimes we get fucked on parking. Go on.
I parked right next to the stage. I parked basically right in front of, like 10 feet from where I was. And that's
if you backed up and slammed on the brakes, your equipment would just fall off the car right onto the stage.
Right on the stage.
That's basically what I did. That was my game plan yesterday. And so I'm playing in a bar with like 3 dads and some, whoever is out, people who don't have fathers, who've never been fathers, who've never seen a father. That was at the show.
And then you went and reminded them.
One couple came in and proceeded to try yell at me about what songs they wanted to play in the middle of a song, like play this song. I'd play the song, and like 3 bars into that song, they're yelling at me what the next song should be. And the girl was not even drunk, but obsessed with coming up and dancing with me, dancing around me, like touching me. I don't
Oh, you got yourself a good old-fashioned groupie, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Then get you some. To take my hat. Now, I wear a cowboy hat because it's Daisy's Nashville, and the other people who perform there wear cowboy hats, except for Dave, who lost his gig, by the way, because he didn't wear a cowboy hat. So I wear a cowboy hat.
What an idiot.
But she's taking my hat and she's putting it on her head. Now I'm thinking, I got to delouse the thing.
Yeah.
And don't put it back on my head after you put it on your stinky little, out without a Father Day. Did
she try to put it back on your head? Did she try to put it back on your head?
She did put it back on my head. And now I'm playing guitar. Like, what can I do?
Yeah, maybe she has daddy issues, and you were just really excited.
She has no daddy issues. She has lack of daddy issues. I got no dad. And the guy she was with, like this skinny little meth addict looking scurvy guy. Anyway, that went on for a while, and then finally the manager of the bar came out and threw her off stage, and I was like, thank you. He goes, oh, you didn't want her on there, right? Because now I'm like an asshole. I was like, no, you're not an asshole, you're my fucking hero. There are times when you appreciate
you're the wing beneath my wings.
Yeah, I love that kind of interaction when it's a full band. If it's just me up there, then they're all over me. I don't like that. I like it when they're all over Mikey, so I can enjoy it. And even when people are up and dancing, people are often crashing into my mic stand and boom, knocking my teeth out. Boom, boom. And I appreciate that. I laugh at that. But when she was just all over me, so he kicked her off the stage, and then they tried to skip out on the bill. And,
shocker.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, they are broadcasting me out onto the street. So I see them going out to skip the bill, and I know that the whole street is listening. And I'm like, attention, people out in front of Daisy's right now. There's a couple right there. Stop those people. And the manager heard that, and he went running out the street, and he grabbed them, and he made them come back in and pay the bill. The guy had no remorse at all. He wasn't even ashamed of being caught in the middle of skipping out on a bill.
Jeez, what a bum. That's awful.
No, it's like the lowest behavior.
If you can't afford to go out, just don't go out. Like, it's not that hard.
Paid with a card, and here's the thing: they were ordering the most expensive drinks and food on the menu. The whole time they were there, they were coming out with these, Maui cocktail, cocktails.
Premeditated dine and ditch. That's the worst.
Yeah, the Pupusatuk cocktails, the Maui Wowie Lowy Schnowy drink, whatever they are.
Careful, you're gonna end up summoning some demon in Latin if you're not careful.
Beetlejuice. Speaking of summoning demons, let's meet Joel. Well, not meet. I've met Joel Davis. Have you met Joel Davis? Real deal. Joel Davis is here.
I have not met Joel Davis.
Hey, what's happening, gentlemen?
The real demon. I mean, the real deal. How are you?
I'm on the other side. I'm one of the good guys.
One of the good guys.
I fight the demons every day, brother.
Yeah.
Amen. Let's go.
This guy, Steven the sitcom Ortiz. How you doing? And there's JD.
Not bad. Pleasure to meet you, man.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. So I was just talking to Steven, who gets frustrated about where his career is at. It's only been in a short time. Now, you've only been in comedy a short time, but your career is also you're doing some good things. But to be fair, you already had a foundation in performance and public speaking and all that kind of stuff for a very long time before your comedy career, correct?
Well, yeah, I started November 1st, 2022. So I got 1 year, 7 months in right now.
Right. But before that, you were also a performer of sorts, and in the fitness world, in the wrestling world. So the stage is not something that you've only been in for a year and a half.
Well, yeah, I broke in at a young age in pro wrestling in 91. So you did a lot of, you call it stick work, working on the microphone.
Right.
So I learned in 91, 92, all through the 90s. I was on the microphone doing, promos and stuff, as my character, the real deal Joel Davis. So that gave me some experience. Then later in my life, I became a motivational speaker. So I was a motivational speaker for about 4 years.
Yeah.
So so I had a little experience on the mic,
I come back to Stanhope joke. Before the gig tonight, on my way here, I blew a speaker in my car. It was a motivational speaker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Joel, there's Joel off when you're not performing and acting, but when you're wrestling, the real deal character is a totally different persona. Have you ever slipped into the real deal persona talking to like a significant other, when like your wife or girlfriend or something, just out of habit, or maybe forget to step out of character before you interact with them?
It's a great question. I mean, I don't recall, but yeah, it's a great question. I mean, sometimes I live the character, 24/7. It's just basically my personality times 10. As you gentlemen, you're all performance, so you know what I mean. So we step out when we're on stage, but I believe that I live who I really am, and in the ring and on stage or whatever have you. I keep that persona. But being with my ex-wife, actually, that's a great question. I'll tell you a quick story if you gentlemen want to hear it. I met my ex.
No, we don't want to hear it. We asked the question because we like to hear ourselves talk. We don't give a shit about the answers.
We want you to come on the show and remain quiet. Don't say a thing. Just be there.
Fuck these guys. Tell the story.
Why we tell bad jokes?
Well, GD had that question, so kind of like got me going, thinking about my ex-wife was a pro wrestling fan. So I met my ex-wife on tour. Like I was in the state of Connecticut, and she hated me. She fucking hated me. She'd throw shit at me, and she'd flip me the finger.
It's in full circle, though. She hated you, loved you, and now she hates you again.
I think she hated me the whole time. I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't even know how we got married. But I ended up meeting her after one of the shows, and she said, "Oh, she loved me." I said, "Well, you just flipped me the finger an hour ago." She said, "Oh, well, you're the bad guy and all this." So we ended up getting married.
Wow.
And then we got divorced. And she says, "I fucking hate you." I said, "Well, you hated me back then." So
wait, Joel, Did you wrestle also?
Yeah, I came out of Killer Kowalski's pro wrestling school in '91 with Triple H and Perry Satin.
Oh, that is so badass. Now, keep in mind, '91, I was a fresh baby boy, but I know the names, and that's incredible. That's awesome.
Thanks.
I'm a huge wrestling fan, so yeah, I know the names well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't you in the New England Wrestling Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I got in there, Matt, in 2011 with Chief Jay Strongbow, Tito Santana, Rick Martel, and Samu the Wild Samoan 3. So
congrats, man. That's badass.
Those are great names, you know.
Yeah, they are. Oh my god.
You know, I don't know if you know this.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Hulk Hogan is talked about getting into politics. He wants to run for political office now.
Listen, the dude needs to stick to porn. He has a meat thermos. That's what he has. That's what he needs to stick with.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. Pro wrestling. I was telling Matt and GD last time I was on the Coffee with the Dog. I was telling them, Steven, pro wrestling and stand up comedy are very similar in so many ways. It really is.
Yeah.
By the way, where's Missing Willie? Did he finally have his last show? I don't see Willie.
No, Willie is off pipe dreaming in Austin, Texas. Well, thinking that he's
on a pipe dream.
Yeah, his genius is going to be discovered, and all of a sudden he's going to be launched into the stratosphere of comedy by doing 1 minute on Kill Tony.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not exactly a strategy for success. It's kind of a pin your hopes and dreams on winning the lottery type of approach to comedy. Which good luck for him, but because I cannot endorse that strategy, I've been labeled as a hater. So he going on social media and calling me a hater.
Oh, I'm sorry to bring that up. Then I'm sorry.
No. We bring it up all the time, but usually it's
every
after
single day,
drinks.
almost.
Well, after
because I am very much supportive of people in the arts, but I do think if we're going to put out a message on how to succeed in comedy or music or acting or any of these things, you have to stick to sound thinking about your career. And I think anybody who pins their hopes on, like me, walking back and forth in front of the set of Car Wash, hoping that I would get cast in the movie, is a ridiculous fucking idea. It's for children. And I was a child when I did that. It's a childish approach to your career. If you're going to do it, you really have to think about, what makes the most sense. How do I put my energy where it will matter most? And deal with the frustrations that come with it. Sometimes you don't get the gigs that you want.
Well, listen, I'm sure that you forgot about him very quickly when you brought in Steven, the sitcom Ortiz. Yeah. So, I mean, you got this guy in here. I don't know if he's the new man and over here with you, but you got him over here. You got a great panel. So,
yeah, I love Steven. Steven is, and again, we started this day by saying he could either take because I gave him some advice today, and he could either take it or take it as good advice and sound advice from somebody who, is old and has lived through the wars and seen.
Dude, I totally trust your 70 to 90 generations of knowledge that you carry with you, man, and I appreciate every bit of it.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you something real quick. I'll share a story with all of you and JD and you Matt, both on the last panel. Last time I was on the Mind Dog, I think it was last year or the beginning of this year, and the Coffee with the Dog. And I'll share this story with Steven. This podcast actually gave me an opportunity in a roundabout way that I followed through, and I actually owe the thank you to you and JD and the podcast itself. What ended up happening, I don't know if you know, Matt, is Barry Katz was on here, right. And I watch a lot of your episodes, even though I may not make any comments. I like to enjoy your because you have a wide variety of guests here.
Crazy people, yeah.
Crazy people. Everybody's pretty mentally ill. I mean, that's part of the reason you get on the show. We have to be mentally ill to qualify.
Right.
JD, you know what I mean over there.
Yeah.
He knows. He's been ill since he was a child.
Imagine how crazy you have to be to actually join the show, though.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, it's all the same. But on a serious note, Steven, Matt, when I seen Barry Katz on your podcast, I was like, yeah, this guy knows his stuff. This guy's been around. He's legit. So I watched the entire podcast. I tried to reach out to Barry. This is kind of an interesting story. I tried to reach out to Barry multiple times. He kept on throwing this, the blueprint for success. Join now. Right. And, the fees and everything else. I said, wow. I said, I just don't have that kind of cash, faloosh, money, cashola at the time to join. So I reached out to Barry and I asked Matt. Matt was nice enough to give me an email, which was public anyways. And I reached out to Barry and I said, Barry, I told him who I was out of Massachusetts, told him a little bit, being a former pro wrestler, etc. And he just, he just basically said, okay, here's the blueprint for success. Eventually, I actually got an email to Barry and I was asking Barry about New York City because I wanted to go out to New York and do even an open mic or whatever I could do. So Barry did answer me. And he gave me Victoria Arnstein's information. This is how this happened. This is a crazy story. So I email Victoria. I tell her who I am. And she just tells me, I don't do open mics anymore. Have a nice day. Bang. Basically that's what it was. So I wait about 3-4 weeks, right? And I email again. It's being a little persistent, but not being rude. I said, Victoria, I'd love to go to New York. Is there anything going on? She says, here's my phone number. Call me. I was like, well, I got her phone number. So I called her. We talked for about 20 minutes. She says, you know what? She says, let me give you a shot. And I ended up doing the Rodney Dangerfield Club April 17th. And it was all because of the podcast. Really.
Don't ever mention my name to her.
That's incredible.
She hates me.
Yeah. Isn't that a great story, though? I never mentioned. I'm glad I didn't mention your name.
Yeah, no.
I mentioned Howard Stern. I mentioned Howard Stern.
That's close enough.
She loves him.
No, she doesn't like. We've gotten to some arguments, mostly over politics. But she was a guest on my very first show. She called me from the street. Wow. Yeah, my very first show.
How many years, Matt? How many years you've been?
Well, I've been doing radio for 40 years. 40 years.
But this podcast,
from the internet side, and basically when I say my very first show, I mean as this kind of platform. That was about 6.5 years ago.
Yeah.
She was hosting Mark Norman. And the topic of the day, because at that time, Shane Gillis was going through his stuff where they were discovering he was supposed to be on Saturday Night Live and just canceled or something before he even got started. And cancel culture was a big thing. And she had a voice to say about that. And she felt pretty strongly that at that time, I don't know if her view has changed, that cancer culture was a real thing, that people were losing their careers over just jokes and stuff. And my position has always been, I've never seen anybody lose a career. I've seen people's careers get elevated and they get more publicity out of being attempted to be canceled than anybody else.
I mean, it's a different of opinion, but I don't know if she would dislike you. I mean, I don't know the lady too well. I worked with her that one night. We spoke on the phone a couple of times. It was Rodney Dangerfield in New York, the old club that they did over recently, last couple of years. So, I lost. I mean, as far as like travel and everything, I was into it for about 500. Right. I didn't make any money, of course. But I got the experience. But speaking about politics, I want to ask the three of you, all being comedians yourselves. And I've learned more and more as I've put my time going on to 2 years in the stand-up. Is it just in Massachusetts, or is there politics everywhere around the country on who likes who doesn't like this one? Is that the way it is everywhere? Because I don't play that game.
It's pretty much like that everywhere. Like in Indiana, for example, it's a red state, but you get a lot of blue towns. So you can you can go to certain towns and you can make 50 Biden jokes and you're gonna kill, but then you go 15 minutes to the west, make those same jokes, and they're gonna chase you out of town.
Okay. Well, let me just say this about the political climate. You mentioned.
Don't I mean by politics, though. I mean like cliques and
right. I want to talk about.
You might be talented, you're not getting booked unless you're in with them. You know what I mean? Is that everywhere?
Oh, you mean club politics?
Yeah, like promoter politics. Like, hey, the guy does the show. 25 people go see him, but such and such don't like his personality.
It's an offshoot of the political climate of cultization of politics. Now, you mentioned wrestling and comedy having a lot in common. That whole mentality of rock star politicians. It started with Ronald Reagan. Then Clinton had more of a cult following. Of course, Bush didn't have any of that. Bush bypassed that. Somehow he was just like the anti-Clinton who was part of it. But then Obama had these people who were just like so in love with him that the personality more than the policy stuff. And now Trump has kind of brought it to a whole new level where we have people caring about politicians as if they're family members. And so people become really engaged in that, in one side or the other. It's not about policy or anything. It's that I'm on this side, you're on that side, and you see that in not just in comedy, but in music, in acting, and all. We're drawing lines that say, you're on the left, I'm on the right. We can't have anything to do with it.
I want to just mention, Matt. I'm asking the panel something a little different than that, but thank you for explaining that. I'm asking politics, meaning like friendships and cliques and who likes who personally. Does that happen?
I guess it depends where you're at, but like me, like in my situation, the clique situation's a huge thing. Like if you're if you're not in with the in crowds, like for example, I didn't start booking gigs in my hometown until about a month and a half ago, and that was because I had to find a way to work my way into the clique without becoming part of the clique. Because that's how I keep I get along with everybody. Everybody will book me. Nobody talks shit about me. It's because I don't get in the bullshit. But if you're not part of that clique even a little, especially when you're talking about like a localized club, there's no getting in. There's not.
That's always been in show business. That's always been a thing as far as, and I go back 55 years now. Cool. But it's always been a thing where there have been club owners who are aligned with a certain group of people who are friends that become the steady people that they book and are on the white list, and then you have the people on the black list, and that's always been a thing. It's become more prominent as society becomes more isolated and left right type of thing.
I appreciate the answers and the insights, and because I was just wondering, and I knew I was going to be on here today with you gentlemen, so I figured I'd ask on the podcast because I've seen more and more of it. I would think as a promoter, as a booker, if you have a comedian that it goes up, keeps his time, right? People are coming to see him. He's selling 20, 25 tickets, right? He's doing his thing. He's promoting the shit out of the show, right? Wouldn't you want that comedian on your list of comedians? Just even if someone's not in that comedian, that promoter's here and saying, "Hey, don't book this guy." Wouldn't you go for like the money and the attendance versus that? But I guess you don't.
You would think like my home club. Well, was my home club. I've actually changed home clubs, but the club that I frequent the most is in that exact situation. Like I've been performing all over the Midwest. I've been doing theaters, I've been doing clubs, bars, whatever, right? But the club is in line with 4 or 5 people, and these people perform maybe once every 6 months, at most. But because they're friends and they're in, as soon as somebody comes that they like, and they're like, "Oh, I want to open for this guy," they're like, "Sure, go for it."
I get you. Where are you, Indiana?
I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Yeah.
Fort Wayne. Yeah, that's a big area out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes it works the opposite way. Is here you get people as a club owner, and because I've actually worked both parts of this. I've been a club manager, but you get people who perform regularly and they do well, and then you don't want to take a chance on new people. Or even give them that opportunity because you just, if we want to stick with what works. If I take a chance on somebody new and they have an off night, the owner or the money behind the club is going to be mad at me for taking that chance. But
also, if the new person is a threat to the old guard, that's also an issue too.
That is
Rappler. What the hell are you talking about? Because I am getting lost here. First, he says Reggie Miller and Caitlin Clark.
He has been ingesting. He's been ingesting several substances over the last hour and a half.
Mushrooms?
I
want to smoke. I want to smoke what Rappler's got. Rappler,
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it's making me thirsty too.
Hey,
But
no,
yeah,
I really appreciate all the insight on this. You know, it's just, you know, with stand-up comedy, every day, I believe all of us do this. Every day we do something to try to move up the ladder or get our knowledge. Even Matt, who's been around 50-something years, we're all trying. I mean, GD and Steve, we're all trying to learn more. Like Barry Katz has that Monday night, it's a blueprint for success, but it's to everyone. You don't have to be a member. Right. And I've only been on 3 times. I try to get on, but a lot of times I may not have that time to get on there, but that's great. That's a great way to go. Right. And then meeting new people, like I'm planning on I haven't done this with GD, but I like to get social media with both GD and Steven. And
just followed you on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me on Twitter? Yeah, because I have Twitter, Instagram now. And I mean, I'm on Instagram and what's the other one there? TikTok. And these females are like hitting me up and they're telling me that for a fee I can watch them on video. I'm like, dude, I'm not on there for that shit. I mean, one's like bouncing like this. She's like, you want to watch it?
We're all into that stuff.
Okay. So is it worth the money?
I moonlight as one of those females. I apologize, Joel. I moonlight as one of those females, and I sent you a video saying, like my fan page. You're like, you ugly.
Oh, I thought you are the Lady G. You are Lady
G. I'm the Lady G.
Wait, you're Lady G? I need my $150 back. I need my $150 back because I did not get what I paid for.
Read the fine print. Read the fine print. You got what you signed up for. It's like a bargain with the devil.
It's print, but it's not so fine.
Yeah, I just didn't know all that was going on. Like, you don't see that as much on Facebook, but on TikTok and on Instagram, there's a lot of
scams going on. I used to get it on Facebook
on.
all the time. I think they finally figured out that. I don't know what the algorithm might have hidden me from those people, but I used to get it all the time. Why would a 20-something hottie be following an old man like me, if not to just get me to accept your friendship so that you can immediately DM me about your OnlyFans page? Or I want to see naked.
They want a sugar daddy, and you look like the prime suspect with the porn stash and everything.
And it just happened to Matt not too long ago. I just heard him talking about it. He got attacked on stage by a female.
Yeah.
I cracked up the bill and screwed out the back door. I heard all about that.
Yeah.
Matt, you're not. Listen, they love you, Matt. You know that.
I know that. I definitely have the Kavorka going on.
Now, when I still get these invitations on Facebook from these women saying, to friend requests, that's what they're called. Friend requests. And what I do is I don't know what they are when I get a friend request. So the first thing I do is I check out the profile and mutual friends. And if I see that almost all of their friends, mutual friends, are comedians, I know immediately it's a porn thing.
Yeah,
dude, I do the same thing. I do the same thing.
I know that fall for that. Either they're just like into porn people, or they just fall for that. But the same 20 comedians are on every single one of those.
I got about the same thing going on my timeline. Every time I check it, and one of them, I'm gonna call him out by name because he's a good friend. Zachary Hunt, stop doing that. Stop doing
that. Stop it. I really don't got time for that shit, to be honest with you. I got other stuff going on.
Dude, me neither. I have a wife. I can barely handle that. You think I got time to add another chick?
I mean, you can't. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure your wife keeps you busy. You know what I'm saying? So,
I don't.
Puerto Rican, of course she does.
Here's the deal with me. My wife and I will be sitting next to each other on the sofa, and I'll get my phone will ping or something. It's like doing a TV commercial, and it'll be like Facebook, and I'll check to see what's going on because like I'm promoting shows. I want to see if somebody's like liking a video or something. So I'll check it out, and it'll be like friend request, and I will like. Profile. It'd be like some woman's ass up on the screen like this, and my wife will say, "Who's?" And all of a sudden, my wife is paying attention to my phone. She's like playing with the cat. Then there's an ass on my phone. She was like, "Whose ass is that on your phone?" Like, I don't know. I'm finding out myself right now.
Ass radar. It's ass radar.
Yes.
A lot of crazy things happening. There really are. And just so we're speaking about it, gentlemen, there are a lot of groupies in comedy. Because I've had some woman literally approach me after these shows, and one actually even flashed me her breasts, and I said, "Can you do that again?" And I seen it a second time. I mean, it was out back, no one really seen what was going on, and I've had some pretty good luck. I'm a single guy, so I. I'm just saying,
there's nothing wrong with laughing your way to some good tang, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Joke bunnies are there for a reason.
Bonita muchachas, mucho loco. I like that.
Right.
Hey, listen, in pro wrestling, they call them ring rats and groupies. It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I love about
joke bunnies are what we call them in comedy. Joke bunnies, yeah.
Oh, they call them joke bunnies? Oh, I just learned something.
The honky tonk bars that we play at, we get a lot of that kind of stuff. And there are sometimes I remember we had like a gig that we played every weekend. We had Friday and Saturday nights lined up at this place, and it was a great place for that kind of stuff. This guy was dancing right in front of the bar, and he had his girl in front of him, and he kept pulling his girl's tits out to show the band.
Was that in New York, Matt? Was that in New York?
Yeah. And then the guy, do it again. And he was showing his girl's tits, and then some other girl starts coming over, and she starts sucking the girl's tits. Before you know it, she's going down on the girl in the bar right in front of us, like pulling her pants down and eating a pussy right there on the stage.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah. And then we played this place right down the block like 2 nights later, and a woman who knows us from that place, she gets up on the bar and starts dancing. She goes to take her top off, and the manager goes, "Hey, get down from there." He pulls it down like, "You can't do that here." And I was like, fuck this place. This is not the kind of place.
No mas! Goodbye, girls.
Yeah, goodbye, girls.
The